Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fortress Comic News, episode 233. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my headset-wearing co-host, Mike.
Yes, I'm here for a week and then gone for a week. Gone with the wind. Gone like the wind. I don't know. I'm glad Travis was here while I was gone last week because he reads enough comics for both of us. But I do have quite a few comics to talk about later in the show today that I can't talk about, like, go into depth with all of them because I've read so many in the last couple of weeks that just gonna do some shout outs here and there, but
yeah, that makes two of us.
yeah, I know you were behind for a little bit too, so, and also, like, yeah, switching over to digital is great because I know you're doing that, but it makes comics way too accessible, so now I'm just like reading anything I want to read. I'll like, something will be popping up on Comixology, like, that looks cool, let me buy it with one click. Okay, so
it makes it so much easier while at work. Like, oh, I got like half an hour to just kill.
Yeah,
well, here's
right.
my tablet right here.
Yeah, pull up the tablet. Yeah, exactly. And when I'm traveling too, so I had 2 separate trips last week, and I get so caught up on comics, like, while I'm traveling, because it's so convenient to just have a tablet with you instead of packing all your trades. I actually, like, one of the books this week was the 80-page, or not, I read this week was the 80-page Aquaman stories.
I still have to get to.
It was so really good. Every story was fucking phenomenal for the Aquaman 80th anniversary. That was amazing. I'll talk about it later. I actually tweeted at oh my god, I can't think of his name right now. He drew Shazam, and he did the he's like the Darwin Cook style.
Oh, Doc Shaner?
Doc Shaner. I tweeted at him. I'm like, because Doc Shaner draws one of the 8 pages in there. And his story is by far like the best drawn one, and like he does he does Aquaman, like he just like threw some conditioner in his beard and hair, like it looks fucking phenomenal. His Aquaman, and I tweeted at him like, dude, why are you not doing Aquaman all the time? And he's like, honestly, those 8 pages were a lot of fun, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. Which is funny because people have been bugging him about doing a JSA thing on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "No, I would only do a couple characters from JSA, like because he did a Ted Grant sketch, Wildcat." And he was like, "I only like Ted Grant," which is bizarre to me because I think Ted Grant's probably the worst out of the JSA, but that's an argument for another time. Where was it? Oh yeah, reading a lot of comics though, and I guess that's what you want to do with a comic book podcast.
I mean, yeah, as I joked with Travis last week, it was like, yeah, it's getting harder and harder to read more comics, but I find a way.
Yeah. You find a little. That's the thing about comics too. Is you need to dedicate like 15 minutes for one, 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, I literally will talk about a book later that I read for review, and I literally just like popped a squat on the shitter and got it done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. you got the tablet in your hand. You're on the couch. You're on the toilet. You go out to the porch. You travel with it. Anything you want. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
But man, what a time! What a time to be alive. We got a few trailers this week to talk about, and then on the show. Sorry, we do have a guest. We always get carried away when I come back and we get to chat it up. Kevin Delgado will be on today. So
yeah,
a name that Chris and I have been very familiar with, but not necessarily on the show. So
yeah, he was on the show once when I interviewed him at Buffalo Comic-Con years ago.
That was back when you met Stephanie Phillips before she was cool, right?
I think that's the same con, actually.
Sorry, Stephanie, you were cool, but I mean, like, cool kid, part of the DC group now.
Before she became Dr. Stephanie.
Yeah, true, now she's a doctor, so sorry about that. Dr. Stephanie.
That's my favorite thing to do on Twitter now, by the way. Whenever I notice, like, someone talking to her, I was like, well, excuse me, it's actually Dr. Stephanie Phillips.
Yeah, please. She should really change that on her, on the Harley Quinn book. I think that would be
phenomenal.
Great. She had speaking of Stephanie Phillips, she had a really good 8-page story in the Aquaman little 80th anniversary.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Mike really wants to talk about that book, so let's
I
get
do.
through the
Holy
news,
shit.
man.
Yeah. No, I was like, honestly, I wasn't gonna pick it up, and I was in a comic book shop, and you know what? The first thing that got me to pick it up was they built it more like a trade.
Yeah.
It wasn't like one of those magazine style or like thicker issues. Like it had a spine to it, and I was like, oh shit! Like as someone who doesn't regularly collect Aquaman, I could throw this on my shelf with my trades, and it'll look good. And then I flipped through it, and the art was fucking amazing. And then I looked at who was doing stories. I mean, you got like Jeff Johns, Stephanie Phillips. I think Dan Jurgens does a story. But I was like, damn, all right, okay, well then I'll pick this up. And I was very happy with it because we've talked about those 80th anniversary, whatever anniversary issues, and they're not always that great.
Yeah, this is the first one I picked up actually, because it's the first one where it's a character I really, really love. Like I like Green Lantern, I like Green Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Who else have they done? I like Wonder Woman, but like I don't love any of those characters like I do Aquaman. So
Like the Batman one was okay. I remember that.
Yeah, the Batman one was good. I did grab that one.
But there's something about Aquaman where I think it's just not enough stories are told about him, so it makes you want to see that anniversary edition with all that extra stuff.
I think I said it with Aquaman before. He's been so memed online, and like everybody thinks he's such a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But he's quietly had some of the best runs in comics. Like you go back and read the Peter David run, it's phenomenal. You read the Jeff Johns run, it's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can go back, but I think, especially in the early days, he was kind of a joke. And like the Aquaman riding 2 dolphins like skis, like that was a real thing for a while. And then I think I'd give the credit to Peter David to really turn it around, and then people wanted to write good Aquaman stuff, and the joke never left. But at the same time, great creators joined the book and did great stories. So
yeah. I mean, it's either ways, it was a really good time. Check it out. I guess we'll jump into the TV news. Hawkeye trailer, or the best Christmas movie you shall see.
Yeah.
So I think this is something really clever by Disney. Before we even talk about the trailer, when you have a character like Hawkeye that you're only going to do like one season of a show for, or a couple seasons, build that character that doesn't really have a lot going on for him around a holiday like Christmas. Why not? Right? I think it's genius.
Yeah, I got some heavy Die Hard vibes from that trailer.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, because that's like my favorite Christmas movie. It is a Christmas movie. I'll fight you, and that's what I got from it.
Yeah, that got me excited right there. I like the interaction, like when he meets the Kate Bishop. I like pretty much everything that happened in that trailer. So I am the most excited for the show I've ever been after that trailer.
Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about Kate Bishop, but it looks like, you know, just it's a Home Alone, like gone for the weekend, I'll be back for Christmas kind of thing.
No.
And yeah, when you turn into an evil villain, murderous assassin, dude, there's going to be some repercussions. You're going to piss off some people, so makes sense to me.
And I'll say, just from this trailer, I can tell they took a lot from the Matt Fraction, David Aja run.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody go read that, and then you can be that guy who's like, I read the comic before the show came out.
Just really quick, before we get to the next trailer, I did watch Shang-Chi, and I know you already watched it. So I saw it at a theater. I had to go to a theater just to confirm that I probably won't go to a movie theater again for like a few months, just because the crying babies that were brought into the theater, the child kicking the back of my seat, and like several kids running around because they were bored in the movie. But like I was already over halfway through the movie, so I wasn't at the point where I was about to like get up and leave. But like it was just like to the annoyance to where it was like, you can't just like control your kids to watch a movie for a couple hours. But other than that, the movie was fantastic. My second favorite Marvel movie is what I'll say.
What's your first?
Winter Soldier, man. Nothing beats Winter Soldier.
Okay.
That one is just the boat scene in the beginning. Like, you're never gonna beat that.
Yeah.
Where like Captain America stabs a guy with a knife. Like, people forget. I don't forget. Like, he stabs the dude in the hand, I think, but still, like, fuck yeah.
Great movie. My first is still Endgame. Like,
so
dude, that's everything I want in life in a movie.
Yeah, that's true. Right. But I will say this. This may or may not spoil something for people for the movie. I won't mention any names, but the fact that you got this movie to relate to my least favorite Marvel movie, and that would be Iron Man 2, and that's where I'll leave that at. And make me like the character that I wasn't a fan of in Iron Man 2. That in itself, like, okay, you guys got me there. And I will say this, I could have done, and I'm not really spoiling anything here, I could have done without the huge giant, like, Godzilla battle at the end of the movie. I don't know about you, but, like, I could have done away with all that. Like, just the hand-to-hand combat alone was getting me through that movie.
It gave me a big smile when they did the Never-Ending Story, like, sequence at the end. I did love that. Was it Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3?
Oh, I'm sorry, Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, Iron Man 2 was with the whip guy.
Yeah, with Whiplash.
With the cage bird. For fucking Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke with a terrible Russian accent. That's the dude who played the wrestler, by the way, to go on to be a Russian villain for Marvel. Anyways, the movie's fantastic. I really loved they did all of the fight scenes the way I wanted. I mean, we had some like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. We had some like old kung fu style, like 1,000 punches type of shit, like Ip Man style fights. And then you got your kaiju battle at the end. So something for across all Asian cinema, pretty much. And then you had the quintessence thing at the end, which is a pretty big deal. So we got to see some Avengers characters that. Oh yeah, and I think you talked about this already. Bruce Banner in a cast. So Bruce Banner, number one, is Bruce Banner. He's not the Hulk anymore,
which is a big thing.
It's a big reveal, and because you don't think that at first, you're just like, "Oh, it's Bruce Banner," and you're like, "Oh shit!" Like, he's been the Hulk for the past how many movies now?
Well, I literally, when I watched it, thought that I'm like, "Oh, it's Bruce Banner, cool, nice." Blah blah.
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
And then I thought about it on the way home, like, wait, he became Professor Hulk.
Yeah.
Like, he can't go back to Bruce Banner, so there's a story there.
Right, exactly. And it's probably a Hulk movie or something.
It'll be the background of another movie because I don't think they can do solo Hulk movies.
No, that's what you do when you want a franchise to die.
I think legally they can't do solo Hulk movies.
Oh, okay.
I think there's something with Paramount or something where they can use them as a character but not as a solo.
But yeah, I mean, I really liked it. Go see it. I know some shit has come out about the guy who plays the main character, but whatever. I'm not too worried about that. If Disney's still employing him, then whatever.
I feel like if you're in the public light, something comes out about you, and the fact that I don't know what you're talking about says a lot. So yeah. It was like some old Reddit comments they found on like one of the incel subreddits. So you can imagine what he was talking about. Honestly, though, it wasn't that bad. I'm not gonna get into it. I don't think it was career ruining. As I think whatever the subject matter was about, that's fine. That's, you can make your own judgments on that. But I will say that, I mean, they brought James Gunn back, and he was saying some crazy shit on Twitter. So I think he'll be fine. Also, a lot of great characters were played by the starring people in Crazy Rich Asians. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It's actually really good. It's a lot of fun. We actually, I think you and I discussed this when they announced casting. Because I was like, why is every Asian actor that I see in a movie from this fucking Crazy Rich Asian movie?
From Crazy Rich Asians. Because it's a really good movie, and they all did fantastic in the movie.
Well, and I
will
can't
say
remember if you told me or someone else, but that movie was
Yeah.
like made to cast a bunch of Asian actors and actresses just to get them out there.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like now we have like a pool of people.
Yeah. And that's why whenever you see an Asian cast in Hollywood now, it's like from Crazy Rich Asians. Like, oh, okay.
And I will say a lot of people find Aquafina annoying. I love just her. Because she's a comedian as opposed to an. She was really good at this. And it wasn't too much. Obviously, like I would say, and I didn't even mind her in Crazy Rich Asians. I've never seen her stand up, so maybe that's what they're referring to if they find her annoying. But maybe. I thought she was great. She has a great character arc, story arc in Shang-Chi. The bus scene in the beginning of Shang-Chi. I mean, there's just so much great shit. I was loving I turned to the girlfriend a few times. I was like, "This is the best movie ever," and she's like, "You're embarrassing me," and I'm like, "Okay." And like you see Fing Fang Foom, I'm just like. And she's like, "Stop! Put your hand down." I'm like, "All right." Overall, it's a lot of fun. If you can wait till November to see it, wait till November. But yeah, I was very happily pleased with that. So, something a little more on the other opposite end of the spectrum, something I didn't really care for coming from Marvel is this Hitmonkey trailer. I had no idea what Hitmonkey was. I watched the trailer. I was kind of like, eh. Is this something you're excited about?
No, I thought this was canceled.
Oh.
I saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, it wasn't... Remember when Hulu was going to do... It was going to do MODOK, which ended up happening. Hitmonkey, I forget what the fourth one was, but then also Kevin Smith was going to do a Howard the Duck show.
Yep.
And they said they canceled a bunch of them. And I thought Hitmonkey was on that. I thought MODOK was the only thing coming out of that whole deal.
Oh, okay.
So when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, wait, Hitmonkey's still around?" I don't care.
It doesn't look finished. It looks like they half-assed the animation. Is like one of the parts that, like, if you have a character, I don't know.
Yeah, it looks exactly like that. Like they were like, "Well, we don't really want to release this, but it's like halfway done, so let's just finish it."
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't see it breaking out in any way. I think it's gonna be one and done. People aren't gonna talk about it.
I watched they released the intro to oh my god, what is the name
Cowboy
of the show?
Bebop?
Cowboy Bebop. And I saw you tweeted you weren't impressed. That's not
what I said.
Oh, okay.
I have never seen Cowboy Bebop the anime.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Just to get all the nerds riled up.
No, I thought your tweet was like you had a Skeletor running out and said like I'm out or something.
And it said I've never seen Cowboy Bebop and I'm out.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like you watched that and you're like I'm out. Okay.
No, I get I'll watch it. I'll definitely watch it.
I will say, as someone who watched the anime, that intro was perfect. And people were worried about like the quirkiness of one of the characters that like shows up at the end of the first season. I think they're doing it all. I don't think they're pulling any punches. The corgi is adorable. The intro, it's almost like a Kill Bill style Quentin Tarantino cinema, like kung fu cinema, but sci-fi, and that's kind of what it is. And a lot of the characters they show in the intro are straight from the episodes, because each episode is like its own story arc in the show, and that's why it's so good. And I think they're doing a lot of those. Like they show like the teddy bear, which is one of the villains, and I am actually excited for it. But we do know how Netflix has handled this animation in the past, so this they could have just done an awesome intro, and that's the only good part about it. So
I will say my buddy Danny over at Next Issue Pod did a side-by-side of the original anime and this one, and it's not one for one, but it's pretty damn close.
Oh yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah. It is for sure. And they left the little open square, because there is another character that they add to the mix. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it's good shit. So, first look at Sandman. Was it just me, or was this hard to find for you? Like, wasn't really announced.
I saw it announced, and it actually popped right up on my YouTube, like, because YouTube knows that I'm a fucking nerd. So it's like, hey, you like nerd stuff? Here, watch this. It was right there on my front page. So
So for me, I like I read an article somewhere. It was like Sandman teaser dropped, or I think it was on Twitter. I'm like, where? And I go on to Netflix. It's not on the front page of Netflix, and I had to type in Sandman on Netflix to get the page to pull up with this trailer, and it like wasn't advertised anywhere. And this isn't a trailer. This is the whole opening scene to Sandman, like the summoning of one of the I don't know what they call them, like Death and Dream and all that shit. But it looks awesome. The guy who plays Sandman looks like Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole opening scene where they're summoning him with the cult and everything that's straight from the comics, and it looks pretty comparable to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've read very little Sandman, but I did read the first volume, and I remember that sequence, and that was like one of my favorite sequences from the whole trade. But even like the suit he pops up in with the gas mask and everything was like spot on.
And they zoom in on the mask, they zoom in on the jewel, his ruby, and they zoom in on the sand, his pouch of sand. And that's like the premise is like this dude captures Sandman in a jar forever, and he finally gets out, but his tools are missing, and so he has to find his tools, which are those three things. So I mean, it looks good. I'm excited for it. I honestly, the only downside is I wish Joseph Gordon-Levitt was playing Sandman, because I think he's awesome. But I could live with it.
Yeah. I'm just not a huge Sandman fan, so I have very little to say about it other than it looked good.
And as far as TV, have you watched any Y the Last Man?
No, so I haven't watched any Y. I am 2 episodes behind on What If, and I did not watch Visions this week, so I've been just a complete fuck up all week.
So I wouldn't call you that, but I'm caught up on Y the Last Man.
How was it?
And it's really good. And I will say the 4th episode is where shit starts to take off. In the sense of like now we're moving in the plot. They do a lot of things differently, not in a bad way. I mean, so like the middle of the comic is when he meets his mother. Like we start off like we see his mom like I don't know, episode 3. So the timeline's a little shifted, but they kind of got to do that to get their characters established and stuff like that. And then a little bit more of it, they kind of brought it into 2021 with the whole. There's a lot more like political updatedness between the Jets and the Sharks in the Capitol. You know what I mean? Like the blue and the red. It's a little more up to
I was gonna say I'd also heard, and no, this isn't a negative in any way in my eyes, but that they really hammer home that it's the Y chromosome that kills you. Not the fact that you're a man.
Right. Yes. So the trans people are represented.
Yes.
And honestly that is something that they've added that makes it very interesting, because obviously Yorick, the whole premise of the show, if people don't know, is he's the last man with a Y chromosome. So and there's times where he gets spotted by women and he'll be like, "Oh, I'm just looking for testosterone," because there are characters that are trans that look to the capacity of Yorick, and so that's kind of how he can blend in a little bit with facial hair and stuff like that. So I mean it's definitely an interesting. It's taking the idea of Y the Last Man and like dropping it in our timeline. It's more woke, if I could use that term correctly, with all the the kids out there. But it was a different era when it got released. I don't know when was it, the 90s or.
Brian K. Vaughan even said that when he made that book, the trans movement was not as massive as it is today.
Mm-hmm.
And really, if you go back in time, 99% of us didn't like think about this.
Yeah,
this wasn't something on the cultural zeitgeist. So when it was brought up, he even said like, "Yeah, it's a good addition. Let's do something with it. We could do something cool and different with it." So he was down with it.
Yeah, they for sure did. It's good, and if you like the comic, you like. I mean, the castings are like for Yorick and the agent 355. I think that's her name. Awesome castings. Everybody is casted perfectly. The mother who is the president. Oh shit, I cannot think of her name, but she's an amazing actress. So good. But I'm really liking it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think, and some people are kind of like that haven't read the comics yet, and they're like, "Well, I like this. Yes, you'll like it." I think it's Hulu's been killing it lately. And with that, I think we'll jump to our interview with Mr. Kevin Delgado.
And we're back.
All right. So check him out. Check his website. All the cool shit he's up to.
Read tough stuff. It's awesome.
Read tough stuff. Yes. Check it out. And with that, let's get into comic news.
Lots of DC news.
Oh, hell yeah. My favorite. DC has announced that Terry McGinnis is back for a 6-issue miniseries spinning out of Batman Urban Legends number 7 as Batman Beyond Neo Year, where writers Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing are an artist Max Dunbar. It's a Neo-Gotham Batman Beyond has to solve the case of Bruce Wayne's murder. That actually sounds pretty cool to me. I might jump in and read that.
Of course I'm in.
You love your
show for Batman Beyond. So.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is, if anyone's not reading Batman Urban Legends, and I know a lot of people jumped off of it because issue 6 was Chip's last issue.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're doing now is they're doing like short stories of different versions of Batman. So they got like issue 7 has a Batman 1,000 or 1 million
really?
story in it, and it's got this in it, and this is the story in that is the intro to this, where he finds Bruce dead and realizes he's been murdered and all this stuff. So by the same creative team too.
Oh, cool.
So that's a really good anthology book that DC's doing. That's not getting enough attention.
Yeah, I wasn't reading it, but we'll check it out. What's better than one Batgirl? How about two Batgirls? Well, the new series, Batgirls, plural, from writers Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad, with artist Jorge Corona, and we follow Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown as they navigate Gotham Underground. So if you're Cassandra Cain or a Stephanie Brown fan, well, they solved the issue here, right? We put them both in a book together.
Seriously.
And I think, Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad are both fantastic writers, so I might even check this out because I have good faith in both of them.
Yeah, and I know there's a ton of Stephanie Brown and Cassandra Cain fans out there, so I'm glad they're going to get the book they want. I don't have any interest in this, but I know there's a lot of people out there I know that are huge fans of these two characters.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Michael Conrad. I don't know how much I've read from
Becky Cloonan.
Becky Cloonan. Yeah, thanks. But either way, I think I'm gonna check it out. Just at least the first couple. I did read Batgirl back in the day, but that was was it Dave Stewart? Was that who it was?
I couldn't tell you.
That was what. Do you remember when the purple yellow costume? That's when I got into Batgirl.
During New 52.
New 52, yeah.
Yeah, when she went to high school or whatever.
Yeah, it was actually like I actually got into that. Like I thought, yeah, I remember the first issue was like her taking a selfie, and I'm like, I have no interest in this book. And then I read it, and I'm like, okay, this book's pretty good.
I know, like I know what they were going for there, and I know a lot of people liked it, but that was my opinion when I saw it. I'm like, I'm an old man, and this is not the book for me.
No, exactly. I was like, yeah, I thought it would be something that I would not care for, but I ended up actually liking it. So
cool.
But anyways, yeah. So I might check that out. DC has announced that writer Rob Venditti and artist Michael Avon Orning are going back in time to tell the story about the end of Krypton. The series is called World of Krypton and is said to star Jor-El, General Druzad, and young Kara Zor-El, and the puppy Crypto. Sold. Venditti is a great writer. He understands the characters in DC, the pillar characters. So I think that's an interesting take. They really love to go with that Krypton stuff, man. Like, I don't understand it, but
I think I would be more down because this is like, how do they save Krypton? And like we all know how it ends, so
right.
they don't.
Yeah.
I would be more interested if they like almost did like a young Jor-El or something, or even before Jor-El. Just do a random fucking Krypton thing, like the world of Krypton, and here's our. That would be more interesting to me, but I'll check it out because Venditti gets my money every time.
Oh yeah, he's a great writer. DC is set to introduce an all-new super team with its own miniseries. One Star Squadron will be written by Mark Russell. Sold. I don't have to read the rest of this. And art by Steve Lieber. The One Star Squadron is said to be where heroism meets capitalism, with the team of Red Tornado, Power Girl, Gangbuster, and Minuteman. What a crazy team up!
Yeah, when's the last time you saw Red Tornado in a book?
I don't know, but I love Red Tornado. And I will actually. I read a Red Tornado story. It was an old like JSA trade. But heroism meets capitalism. Come on, Mark Russell can handle that.
Yeah, so the team's really cool. I love Power Girl. Mark Russell, obviously, we love. And there's also like I was reading the synopsis of it, and like there's an app you can get. Like in this world, there's an app you can get where you can like pay the One Star Squadron to like help you out, and they have different rates depending on like if you want them to stop by your birthday party or if you want them to save the world or whatever. So I think Mark's obviously written a lot on these issues, so I'm sure he'll knock it out of the park.
Oh yeah, it's going to be good for sure. This is pretty interesting. A new Swamp Thing miniseries is coming to DC Black Label. Writer Jeff Lemire, alongside artist Doug Mahnke, bring us Swamp Thing Green Hell. In the future, humanity is lost on its last legs. The parliaments of the Green, Red, and the Rot all agree that Earth needs a reboot and summon a horrific monster to do the job. The only person who can fight the monster is Swamp Thing. Unfortunately, he's been dead for decades. You had me at Jeff Lemire, Green Swamp Thing. Honestly, you guys know how much I love Swamp Thing. I think Jeff Lemire is the perfect writer to handle a character that is rooted more in. Yeah, they call it the Green, but it's more of like a psycho, like a psyche. I don't know what do you call, like in his own head, pretty much. You know.
Mm-hmm.
That's where his powers are. They lie like within, which happens to be this huge network that he can cross the entire world with. But I think this is all. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, and I like how Lemire's jumping in on these books, like non-continuity books, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants. But yeah, you have me at Jeff Lemire. I'm down.
Yeah.
I could use a good Swamp Thing book.
Oh yeah. I told you, the one right now is really good.
I'm going to pick up the trade when it's done.
Yeah. It's and I think that's what you see a lot of people doing, just because Ram V doesn't have a big name for himself yet. But all right, some Marvel news. Marvel has announced that alongside Spider-Man Beyond, they'll have another Spider series telling Ben Reilly's adventures from the time of the Spider-Clone saga. Ben Reilly, Spider-Man, will be written by J.M. DeMatteis with art by David Baldeon. I mean, if you're a Spider fan, you're buying all the Spider books, right? Is that how it goes?
Apparently. I know the Spider fans like DeMatteis, Ben Reilly stuff, but like, fuck people, the Clone Saga sucked.
We don't need to talk about the Clone Saga anymore. Do we really?
I'm stealing this from Gib because this was 100% his, but it's mine now. He has me convinced that Ben Reilly's showing up in No Way Home. That's the only reason that he's getting so much attention right now.
You think so?
I can't think of another one. Why? Why would you go back to Clone Saga unless that was what you're going to do? I don't know. But I was talking to my retailer.
Wait. Hold on. Do you think Tobey Maguire is the Ben Reilly clone?
That would be hilarious.
Why not?
I'm down for that idea.
Oh my god.
I was talking to my retailer because I was like, once I think Spider-Man 74 comes out this week, and it's my last Spider-Man issue because Nick Spencer's leaving, and I no longer care.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Yeah, that's cool. So you don't want to jump on with this Beyond thing?" I was like, "No, because I don't care about Ben Reilly. The creative team's good. I like who's on it, but I don't care about Ben Reilly, and I'm not picking up a Spider book 3 weeks out of the month." Yep. And he just laughed. He goes, "I love it. You know why? Because Spider fans will buy every fucking issue every time. They can put it out 6 times a month, and they'll buy every issue." I'm like,
Yep.
Now it is 4 books a month for all these Spider fans out there.
Yep. You can't get enough Spider-Man. I mean, if Spider-Man's your favorite character, I mean, Batman's my favorite character, but I won't buy all 10 Batman books.
See, and I fear that Marvel's heading that direction. Like, we have... So, Spider-Man's coming out 3 times a week. We got Ben Reilly Spider-Man. We got Symbiote Spider-Man. We got Nonstop Spider-Man. I think that's it. So, we're up to 6.
Yeah.
Where, I think last time that it was counted, DC, half of DC publishing is Batman. And that's if you don't count Justice League.
Yeah, right. Which he's in.
So I fear that Marvel's getting close, but, I mean, so far, not so much.
All right, so I have a lot of books I'm going to talk about that I read. I'm just going to skim through. Some of these I hardly even remember because I've read so much. So I'm reading the Suicide Squad King Shark books. So number 3 came out. That's the Tim Seeley run. Really good. I mean, it's King Shark, basically in Mortal Kombat inside the red, which is part of the green, but it's the animalistic side of things.
Yeah,
very
Animal
good.
Man.
Animal Man. Lost Falls, number 2. This is Kurt Pyers, Antonio Fuso. It's like a Twin Peaks book, investigating a missing girl in this town. It's like a southern white town, and he's a black man walking around. So obviously he's being discriminated against. Meanwhile, he finds some kids are taking these drugs, and that's how the kid died. But lo and behold, this guy finds a cult in the woods outside of the town. So there's a little more going on. Oh, I'm sorry, it's King Shark number 4, not number 3. Hailstone, I finished that up. That was another Comixology original, really good. This is Batman the Detective, number 5 out of 6. This is the Tom Taylor run with Andy Kubert. This is probably the best combo for a Batman book. A lot of the villains are killing people that he saved. Basically, the overall villain, Batman had saved someone, and then that person turned around to kill their parents in a car crash or something like that. So that's why they're going back and killing, because Batman saved this person that led to their family's deaths. That's why Batman's going back and doing all that shit. Radiant Black, the book of the year. Are you still reading this?
I am. I didn't get to pick up my books this week.
Oh, okay. So this is issue number 8. Basically, they fight this new Radiant Black they find with a sword, and they're half the team split up. They're fighting him. And then they get to the point where they're they're winning the fight, and then he kind of pieces out. Or actually, the Radiant Black has a new power. This fist comes out of his chest and grabs the guy, pulls him into his chest, and he doesn't know what the hell happened. Meanwhile, the government or the secret agency finds the ship where someone landed, so they're aware that there's some alien technology on Earth. Phantom Starkiller number 1. This is Black Caravan, which is part of Scout Comics. It's basically like Skeletor / Darth Vader is like this bounty hunter assassin is trying to get his ship back from his partner that betrayed him. Really good stuff. I downloaded the Blue Flame, haven't read it yet. I also downloaded Heist or How to Steal a Planet, have not read that yet. And The Autumnal, I keep hearing good things about The Autumnal as a really good horror book, so I'm looking forward to reading that. Okay. I'm almost caught up in The Nice House on the Lake. This is the James Tynion horror book.
Mm-hmm.
Really good, really unsettling. This dude traps these people. Doesn't even trap these people. It's an alien that's ending the world, but he made friends with these people throughout his life, so he keeps them in a house, and he doesn't know why he's keeping them in this cabin at the lake. Like, he has they don't know why. Frontiersman number 1. Did you pick this up?
I did, actually.
Dude, I picked it up because of the cover, and I thought you would have too. Did you read it?
Yes.
What'd you think?
I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. This is Patrick Kindlin, Marco Ferrari, and the art. Basically, this frontiersman, he was almost like Davy Crockett or someone, and he used to be a hero, and now he goes and lives in the woods by himself. They're trying to tear down the redwood forest, so this activist reaches out to him and is like, dude, you should post up in the forest because people used to respect you, they used to fear you. You can make a statement for climate change, or like at least preserving the forest. And so like he consults some friends throughout the issue, and then he goes and does it. I think it's a cool premise. I thought it was a fun book.
Yeah, it had when Mike says hero, he means superhero.
Superhero,
like,
sorry, yeah.
This is a superhero universe, and it's almost got
Right.
like Kingdom Come vibes, where we're on like the second generation of heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And I like some of the dialogue between Frontiersmen and some of the people he comes across about how people treat these issues throughout their life and different things. Like, there's a lot of good stuff in here, and the art's really cool.
Batman Adventures Continue Season 2, number 4. Did you read this?
No.
Burnett, Dini, Gibson. It's a issue devoted to this villain hired Muscle, and his name is Muscle. So it's a fun issue. Well, if you like Batman Adventures, the animated series, it's a fun issue. Batman and the police are working together to get this guy who was also hired by someone on the political board, like for Gotham. So there's some corrupt shit going on there. I thought it was good. I enjoy these continuations for animated series.
As do I.
This is Batman number 113. Man, I really just want this whole story to end. We're still doing the Fear State shit with James Tynion and Jorge Jimenez. Jimenez's art's fantastic. Basically, the Scarecrow, he has this whole plan to implant fear into the Gotham and then save them, or let them save themselves. Like, that's his whole plan. And so, like, he has Ghost Maker go into his brain, and, like, he's like, okay, you have something implanted in here, and it was actually like a piece that Scarecrow implanted in his brain, so I think they fight it off, they get it out. And now we have the problem with Peacemaker 01 is like all jacked up on fear toxin, he's about to start killing civilians. So Batman's got to get to him. Shazam, number 3. This book's really fun. Tim Sheridan and Henry on the art. It's they're still in hell. They're trying to get to the Rock of Eternity, and Neron shows up. Neron, and Neron, I guess, like, he's a evil villain dude that preys off of like children. That's what I found out. And so, like, he has some past and history with Shazam, and so they're down in hell. Neron was the reason. Like, he brought them to the Rock of Eternity, and he's like, "I want your powers, Shazam." And he knows that Billy's friend, oh my god, what's his name? Freddy needs the power of Shazam so he doesn't die from his disease. Because he can call upon Shazam and he's immortal. So there's a big fight, and then Raven shows up, which she knew the Rock of Eternity was there and never told him. So like, Billy's all pissed off. He hears someone calling to him in hell, and he opens this door and he finds Black Adam. And Black Adam's very young. He's like younger than Billy, or younger, as young as Billy, but as Black Adam. So I don't know what's happening now. And he's standing there with a torch. So all is to be revealed. Justice League Last Ride, that was good. I read Magic Order by Mark Miller. That was a 4-issue or 6-issue miniseries. Did you ever read that?
No.
It's really good. It's a family of magic users, and they betray each other. You know, there's some. It's almost like Jupiter's Legacy. There's some rift in between the family. It's a solid story. Superman and the Authority is another good one with Kingdom Come Superman building up this team. They have to get Enchantress this issue, and so they get her, and then Ultra Humanite shows up, and so Superman's having an issue fighting him because he doesn't really have powers. So that's kind of where they left off. Ultra Humanite gets a hold of Superman and is carrying him away. So I'm guessing the next issue is going to be all the villains that he's recruited to help are going to have to team up and help him out. Yeah, so Fantastic Four, Life Story number 4. We're in the 90s now, so getting into the good shit. This one, I mean, it focuses more on the relationship of Thing to everybody else, because he kind of narrates it and talks about how he fell in and out of love, how Mr. Fantastic and Sue fall in and out of love, and then we get a visit from the almighty Silver Surfer. So that was a pretty awesome issue. And he's basically like, wow, you guys are a bunch of ninnies because you're not ready for when Galactus shows up. If you think I was bad. Beyond the Breach, number 3. This book's kind of crazy. I don't really know what's going on yet. This is, there's these people have been transformed to a different planet, we think, or they're in the US still, but they're from a different planet. So they've hitched up with this wizard dude that has a giant turtle, and this girl has been protecting this. Ed Bryson's the writer, by the way, and Damian Kuchiro on the art. Art is fantastic, so you get a lot of crazy monsters, a lot of wasteland shit. But they hitch up with this wizard guy, and they find these army people, futuristic army people that say he's dangerous, watch out, and they start shooting first. So the lady makes the assessment, the main character's okay, well, if they started shooting at us with a kid, I'd like to think that the guy who's with us trying to protect us is probably on the right side of things. So they get into a fight. They have some crazy weapons that disintegrate people, and then they kind of get away, and they start walking further down the US, across the US, and they see these giant aliens that are that have died, and he says it's because of me. So this quest that this huge wizard dude has been on is killed a lot of people, just him being on the run or wherever he's going. It's an interesting book. I would check it out. Justice League Last Ride was good. Justice League, the main Justice League book, got pretty crazy. I don't know if you've read that, but shit's going down with Merlin and the Justice League Dark, and the regular Justice League. I didn't really care for the art in this issue; it was a little wonky. But how did the end? Yeah, something about the cartographer. I don't know. Are you reading Justice League right now?
I'm 3 or 4 issues behind.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot going on with they gave an intro to all these different villains pretty much from the last issue. I don't know if they've been confronted with these this this guy from another world. Bendis does a lot of this crazy shit. I don't know where he's going with this, because a lot of the stuff that Bendis has been setting up lately hasn't really gone anywhere. So, and then they're trying to tie in this whole Deathstroke and Checkmate thing, which is kind of confusing. Honestly, I read this book for the second half of it, which is the Justice League Dark story with the Merlin taking over, and they have to fight Merlin. I fucking love that story. So,
just funny because I don't even read the Dark stuff.
Oh, see, okay. Well, then we're opposites. And then Batman. Last book I want to talk about, Batman '89. I also have some real books to talk about. Basically, we get the origin. Catwoman returns from Batman the movie, and then
is it Halle Berry?
No, it's what was her name from the first Catwoman from the Val Kilmer Batman movie. Oh my god, I can't think of her name, but she shows up. The one with the stitching all over her suit, and then Harvey Dent goes into a burning building in this black community of people that he knows, and he falls over on his face. So if you can imagine, he's probably going to turn into Two-Face. And then
I was thinking about picking up this series just because I saw that they're going to turn Billy Dean Williams into Harvey Dent into Two-Face.
Yeah,
like he should have.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'm down for that, and
it's really good.
Picking it up.
It deals with like the black community and like Batman and his support for them, like, and then Bruce Wayne shows up and wants to give them money, and half the black community wants to accept it, and half of them don't. So it's really good. I think it's a really good story. It takes Batman '89 way more seriously than I did when I first watched it. You know, it takes it seriously like when Batman '89 first came out, because it was the only Batman movie at the time. Deadbox number 1. This is Mark Russell. Tiesma on the art. Tiesma does a killer job on the art. And so this is like Mark Russell's first time doing horror, I would say. I don't know about you, Chris.
First I can think of.
Yeah. And we know he does like a lot of political things. Basically, this woman runs a convenience store, and I get at the end of it, her father is like, I think he's already dying. But there's something related to like there's a red box. It's called it's like a red box in the convenience store, and she says at the end like, we become the fiction, and so I don't know if they watch the DVD and that's you become the person or something like that. I don't know if that's where we're getting at, but he looks like a zombie, and there's the video of the Vanishing Man next to him. So
I felt like this book was. So everything I want to say is I love Mark Russell. I love what he does, and the political stuff doesn't bother me.
Right.
That said, I thought this book was 3 separate books. One was this story about this girl in the convenience store, and she's a very political, let's say, somewhat Marxist ideology.
Right.
And then there's another book where she watches this movie, and we get what this movie's about, which was, I thought, the most interesting part of the whole thing, which was we make contact with aliens, and then they send somebody to meet the aliens, but because he's been in isolation this whole time and everything, he kind of goes insane.
Yeah.
And then the third was the fact that this red box exists, and it doesn't have your typical movies. It doesn't have Avengers. It doesn't have the stuff we know. It has like these B movies that nobody's heard of, and somehow those movies are what's turning people into these things. So I just felt like it was very congested with too many ideas, and he just didn't spend enough time to get me sold on this Deadbox idea for me to go into issue 2, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sticking with it just because of I don't really know where it's going. But it says like, welcome to Lost Turkey, where the main source of entertainment is a cursed DVD machine that seems to know more about the fate of its citizens than they do. So but that's not what I got from the issue, right?
Yeah.
Did you? I didn't get that. So
that's what I'm saying. I feel like he's trying to get too much into and I feel like at a certain point, because all of Mark's work is very political in nature, even down to Flintstones. Like Flintstones is a super political book.
Right.
That I almost felt like he was trying to jam that in instead of just telling a story.
Right.
And it's the first time I can say that I didn't like a Mark Russell book.
And that's
and
fine.
I mean, it's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen.
No,
there's Grant Morrison books I don't like. Like,
oh yeah, fuck yeah, me too. But I will say I feel you there, and I'm going to stick with it for at least a few issues. So I'll let you know, because I think something's happening here, and I didn't really grasp it. Like, I read the first issue, and I'm like, did I read that wrong? Something it didn't flow correctly. It didn't flow right. But I like the premise on the back of the issue.
Yeah.
I like that. So yeah.
If I hear it takes a 360 and like really like gets its story straight and people are loving it, I'll probably go back and give it a shot later on. But I just think there's too much going on, just in life in general and in the comics I read, that if you didn't get me in issue 1 and you were too congested in issue 1, then I'm gonna drop you.
Yeah. The art was fantastic though. Hands down, really good.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to talk about the lot, Marguerite Bennett and Renato Guides on the art. This last issue, this Bad Idea Comics, is coming out. This is a horror book for all horror books. Let me tell you, it's about selling your soul for a chance at making a movie, and this lot that used to make horror movies like sold their souls for immortality, and it's cursed, and the art makes it very jarring and horrific, and Marguerite Bennett is a sicko individual, and it just makes for a great book, and all black and white. It's just really good stuff. So if you're into horror and you can find some Bad Idea Comics, the lot is probably, I dare say it because I got to see some mechs shoot up dinosaurs, is probably one of my favorite books from Bad Idea. There, I said it. It's off my chest. Read a lot of comics this week. If anybody wants to have a discussion more about those, I don't have time to be here for 3 hours, but I will talk with you on Twitter, so tweet at me. But what did you have, Chris?
So, I will try to be quick as well, because I didn't have as much as you, but I had a lot. I'll get the Kickstarter stuff out of the way first. The Territory came in. We talked to Grant. I got this awesome cover. Really good. Go back to that interview to find out what the book's about. Kaiju, religion, cool stuff. I picked this one up on a whim because I liked the premise, but it was another Kickstarter book called The 13th Labor. And the whole premise is that it basically pops right in as Hercules finishes his 12th labor after he's trying to get forgiveness from the gods and from humanity. And he finishes it gets Cerberus up to Olympus, and he just doesn't feel like he's gained the sympathy. He hasn't gotten rid of the pain from what he did. So Zeus comes up and starts talking to him and is like, well, I've got one more thing you can do that can really help us. In the future, there's going to be a tournament of champions, and you need to convince your great, so on and so forth, grandson to be a part of it. And so him and, is it Hermes? Which one runs fast?
Messenger of the Gods, Hermes.
Yes, Hermes. So Hermes pulls a Flash and runs him into the future.
Oh, nice.
And he ends up finding his this grandson, and all he finds is its tombstone. So they're like, well, something's not right here. And that's kind of where the book ends. Really cool story, really great art. I gotta say, even this isn't a knock on anybody's Kickstarter, but one of the most high quality Kickstarter books I've ever gotten.
Cool.
And apparently these guys have been doing books for a while. I'm just now jumping on their board, but really good. Justice League Last Ride, I caught up on that. That book's phenomenal. If you're not reading it, I don't know what you're doing with your life.
It's really good.
I read the first issue of Superman and the Authority.
Okay. Yep.
I really liked it.
Okay.
I liked where it ended off, and I liked I like the intro the most, honestly. Like him talking with Kennedy and that whole dynamic was really cool.
It's really good.
But then when who's he end up going to? Manchester Black. Like their dynamic and everything. So I'm gonna buy the next couple issues and catch up on that.
Nice.
We talked about Deadbox. Primordial number 1. This is Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino's follow-up to Gideon Falls.
Yep.
It's an alternate reality where Kennedy loses the election in the 60s, and the U.S. and the Soviet Union give up on their space program.
Oh,
And
okay.
this guy is brought in to be a part of the program. At least he thinks he is. What he finds out is what he's really doing is helping gut the program for military use. And he finds something along the way that's just not right. And apparently, the monkeys that both the countries set up in the space supposedly died, but he ends up finding out that they didn't. But he doesn't know what's wrong. So it's kind of like it's setting up this cool story. Loved it. Love Sorrentino's art. Love alt history stuff. Really great.
Awesome.
It's got like 2001 Space Odyssey vibes to it too, which really hits me the right way. Lucky Devil, I read the first 2 issues of that. I think that's all it's out so far. It's a really good book. I don't know if you're reading this one, but this guy gets possessed by a demon, and he ends up going to a budget exorcist.
Okay.
And the demon gets, or the exorcist gets rid of the demon, but doesn't get rid of the power of the demon. So now this normal dude, who's kind of like, he's just some nerdy guy who like has this hot girlfriend who cheats on him all the time, but he's like, she's hot, so I'll just let her do it. And like, he's just this kind of like just base dude. And then when this happens, he starts a cult, and he's like, fuck it, I got demon powers now.
Wow.
But what ends up happening is the demon comes back and is just like trying to get his powers back. And the dude obviously says no, but then the demon tells him, like, you think like hell's just going to let this happen? Like, no, they're sending people up. So as he's building this cult, like these other demons are coming after him. It's a really good book. It's honestly probably, and I've been reading Parasomnia as well. It's probably my favorite Colin Bunn thing in a long time. I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Okay, I'll check it out.
We talked about Deadbox. We talked about Frontiersman. Aquaman, The Becoming, number 1.
Oh, okay.
So this isn't exactly Jackson Hyde taking over as Aquaman, but what's happening is like Aquaman has to go on a mission. So he's like, Jackson, you be Aquaman while I'm gone. And he takes off. But something big happens while he's gone, and he has to kind of deal with it. It's really well written. I like where they're going with everything. Basically, Jackson, they have this like VR machine underwater where they can practice. And Jackson's using it, and while he's using it, like Atlantis gets attacked, and he's framed for a terrorist attack. And that's kind of where the book leaves it. Way better than I thought it would be. I was looking forward to it, but just so much better than I thought it would be. Cool. Definitely recommend that book. And then review book coming out this Wednesday, Unborn number 1 from Source Point Press. It's kind of like Power Rangers meets The Thing.
Okay.
You've got these guys, these people up in the space station, and they're trying to mine this planet for energy to solve the energy crisis. And they end up cracking open the world, and these like things come out and attack them. And they end up finding out that these things can reanimate dead tissue.
Oh. Okay.
And they have to escape from them. And then I don't want to give it away because it's coming out this week, but something happens and it turns into a horror book real quick.
Oh, all right. Interesting.
I really enjoyed it. I thought the art was pretty good. I'll say the coloring is a little bland, but I don't know if that's like what they were going for with the space thing, because it's a lot of gray. But you have these 5 different characters. They each have a different weapon of a different color and all this. And so that's where you get the Power Ranger vibe from it.
Okay. I kind of like that.
I would say check it out. I enjoyed it enough where I would recommend buying it if you're at your local comic shop and you see it.
Cool.
I think that's everything I had. So, Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
They find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you and or the show?
They can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter. They can find the show at Fortress Comics _ on Twitter or at FortressComicNews.com. Remember, everybody, the 5-star reviews in the podcatcher. Like, subscribe, share, comment down below on the YouTube, and Patreon at patreon.com/FortressComics, where you can give us money for things.
Yep.
Thank you all so much for listening this week, and we will see you all here next week.